Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And it's time for another daily dose of Dismal Disney, but we're going to talk about their card game. Remember that card game that was kind of ripping off of Magic the Gathering?
Yeah, it's coming out this fall, I think.
Yeah, this is Disney Lorcana. Anyway, it's in the middle of a lawsuit now.
Oh, but already, before it even comes out.
But it doesn't have anything to do with Hasbro. So we're gonna talk about this because apparently the developer left one company to go work for the company developing the card game, and now they're accusing him of stealing the game mechanics, but you really can't do that because it's just or D&D would lock everything down. Mm-hmm. Any D20 game you wouldn't be able to create. It's confusing, but it's Disney. Of course, there's a lawsuit. Even if you're just somewhat adjacent to Disney, there's always a lawsuit, right? There's always a lawsuit. So we're going to talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
This is coming from Mr. Milo on piratesandprincesses.net. I'd heard about this. I wasn't sure what was going on, but we did cover this game before because a lot of people were like, oh, typical Disney, take something that's popular, Magic the Gathering, slap a coat of Mickey paint on it, and bada bing, bada boom.
Well, they're being accused of not just, taking the whole system and slapping a coat of Mickey paint on it.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to talk about the update here. But so Disney has, according to Mr. Milo, citing sources here, Disney has found itself involved in another lawsuit, this time with trading card company Upper Deck over copyright infringement. The issue being the upcoming card game Disney Lorcana by Ravensburger. Now,
They make a lot of the board games and stuff that are Disney related.
They do.
We have several.
Yeah, we have the Jungle Cruise one.
We have the Small World. We have Haunted Mansion.
Haunted Mansion, I think, was Funko.
We never played any of them, have we?
We tried playing Haunted Mansion. I joked about this in the other video. The Haunted Mansion one, talked about it in another video. I think the one where we're talking about this card game, and the Haunted Mansion game is one of those millennial board games like they parody in Family Guy, where it's so damn complicated that like nobody wants to even start playing it. And we set the board up and we're like, okay, well, during this turn you do that, and during this turn, this phase of the game you do this, and then this phase you walk it backwards, and then this phase you move it. I'm like, hell no.
Then you do the hokey pokey and turn yourself around and start over again.
And we played like Cards Against Humanity or something, I forget, but it was like, screw this, it's too hard. It's pretty.
Well, we could do it, but we have to learn how to play it. We didn't have time at the time.
We don't.
Anyway, that's not here nor there.
Anyway, they claim the game's co-designer stole their concepts for the upcoming Disney game. This would actually be Upper Deck.
Yeah, Upper Deck has a card game called Rush of Icor. That hasn't been released yet either.
Yeah.
And yeah, they said that apparently the co-designer behind Lorcana, Ryan Miller, had been hired by Upper Deck to design a card game, and that both the card games seem to have nearly identical design.
Yeah, so Upper Deck issued a 19-page complaint with the lawsuit and is currently seeking an injunction that would prevent the release of Lorcana. Now, again, I expected Hasbro to get all pissed off and be like, because they're all about bringing another IP into Magic the Gathering now, and they're so hungry for money. I could totally see them being like, yeah, this is too much like Magic.
But you know what probably happened? I mean, I don't know this, but if I were a betting woman, Hasbro, because they have a relationship with Disney, probably went there first saying, hey, you want to make a Disney, because they want people to use their D&D. You want to make like your own version of like a Magic game or something with Disney, but they probably wanted a big cut. So Disney's probably like, no, we'll go to our person who always does our board games and have them do it for us, and then we'll get much bigger cut. I don't know this, but if I was a betting person, that's probably what happened, because they have a huge relationship with Hasbro and Mattel.
Yeah. Oh, I could totally see Disney doing that. They do this all the time. They always kind of knock off their partners, because they want a bigger cut.
If I were to guess, that's probably what happened before they went to Ravensburger with it. Anyway.
Well, I'm sure they will be, somebody from Disney will be dragged into this disagreement. So here's the complaint. Throughout Miller's time as lead game designer of Rush of Icor, Miller had direct access to Upper Deck's confidential proprietary information, including without limitation, a Rush of Icor draft rules, concepts, components, designs, marketing strategies, and plans for implementation on information and belief. So this is very key, and this is like as far as we know. Miller maintained access to these things even after terminating his relationship with Upper Deck, and used, referenced, and or otherwise relied on them to create Lorcana for Ravensburger. So here's the thing. did he come up with all of that stuff himself?
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Even if he came up with all of it, he was working for them. That belongs to them. That's how this works. The nice thing is, if he quit one, was he recruited deliberately because he worked on card game stuff before?
It might have been. It might have been Disney came knocking, or Ravensburger came knocking and said, "Hey, I mean,
that's all speculation. We don't know.
It's all speculation. We don't know. I'm sure it'll come out in court, or there will be money to make it go away. That happens too.
Yeah.
Rather than allow Miller to honor the agreements and their terms, Upper Deck is informed and believes that Ravensburger introduced and intended for Miller to breach his obligations.
So I was right. They were saying that he left his obligation. So basically, he left to capitalize his knowledge of elements and make a near identical game. So it sounds like, yes, Ravensburger went and probably threw a bunch of money at him. So you come over here and do it.
Yep. This allowed Ravensburger to gain a competitive advantage and accelerated launch and bring a nearly identical TCG to market under a different brand. So this kind of reminds me of the Mattel
I was
Bratz.
thinking Bratz. Yes, that's what it reminds me of.
Because
the Bratz situation.
If I remember, and I'm not Googling it right now, this is going by memory. If I remember correctly, the story with Bratz was the guy who designed them worked for Mattel, and he tried to pitch Barbies that look like that, and they weren't into it, and then they wound up doing Bratz, and then Bratz
but the difference was because he did it on his own time, but they weren't paying him to design it when he was there. That was his own thing. They rejected it.
Yeah, but I guess his contract, and this happens with companies. Now I don't know.
I thought he still won though.
I think he did win because but usually, like any creative position like that, a lot of times, even if it's on your own time, the company still says they own you. And Hasbro does this. I know they do this.
But here's the distinction. If he pitched the dolls and they rejected the Mattel and he did them on his own, that's one thing.
Refusal.
If this was if it's true from Upper Deck that he was working on the system currently and had was developing it at there till he was poached from Ravensburger's way it sounds.
Yeah.
Then he was specifically working on that exact same thing for the company. That wasn't like it was rejected and he was doing it on his own time, happening to work there like they did with Bratz. He was currently working on this exact thing when he jumped ship.
Yeah.
And then given what happened, they were probably waiting for, an opportunity, waiting to see what Ravensburger put out, see if it was close so they could file.
Yeah. Yeah, and then once they dropped all the promotional stuff for it, it's like, this is basically our game just with a Disney coat of paint. Oh boy.
Yeah, so here's what Upper Deck President Jason Mashara said. Go ahead, you can read it.
Oh. We invested significant time and resources to develop a new novel and trading card game. Our current leadership values the importance of protecting intellectual property of both Upper Deck and its licensors. We want gamers and fans to continue enjoying and having access to unique, innovative, and immersive trading card games and don't knock off Magic. We encourage competition in the industry, but also strongly believe in playing by the rules to ensure that the gaming community benefits from different creative choices by each manufacturer. Yeah, interestingly enough, because I don't follow the card game that well. I used to, collect Topps cards back in the day. And I always think of Upper Deck as, baseball cards. Mm-hmm. And I don't think of them for trading card games, but they do the Yu-Gi-Oh game. They do Winx Club, Avatar, and Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean. So they have a Pirates.
Disney, Disney might not have known anything about this. This was.
They're going to get dragged into it, though.
Yeah, they might not have because they had a good relationship apparently with them because they worked on games before. But so here, Ravensburger issued a statement. Yeah,
they said they've not been served with a complaint and thus cannot speculate on potential legal matters. We at Ravensburger stand behind the integrity of our team and the originality of our products.
Well, but then here's the thing. If it turns out, we don't know this, but if it turns out the way it sounds, is they went and poached this guy.
Yeah.
You really can't make that argument.
So this is the version from Gizmodo. This is Linda Kodega, who she was the one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think she's the one that's been going hard to the paint on Wizards of the Coast, and she's the one who outed the OGL 1.1. I'm pretty sure it's her. But this is interesting because the comments get all the way down here, and this person said, this is going to be interesting because I doubt Upper Deck has a case. Game rules generally, which I do know, rules cannot be copyrighted or patented because they are considered instructions, and instructions are not protected in the U.S. If they were, then the company suing would be Hasbro because Lorcana plays like Magic the Gathering. That's true. The reason that there are so many D20 games that are direct competitors to Dungeons and Dragons is because they can't copyright the rules. Mm-hmm. And I guarantee you, if Hasbro thought they could lock down the D20 system, they would have done it a long time ago. If they thought they could lock down, TCGs, trading card games, they would have done it a long time ago, because they're the ones, I believe, that started out doing, or Wizards of the Coast did, Pokemon for the first year or two, and then Pokemon took it over, I think. Again, I don't play these games, but I'm just trying to remember, having covering this stuff. The main thing that can be copyrighted or patented are unique traits. For example, if the cards folded into little miniatures or something, they could patent the process that allows that to be possible. Or if they create unique characters to the game, those could be copyrighted. Again, D&D's case, so many characters from Forgotten Realms and Dragonlance and all that. I think the Beholder is a unique creation, because D&D borrowed so many monsters from other mythology, but I think the Beholder was a unique creature, and that is copyrighted, I think. In this case, both are unlikely. Nothing seen so far indicates that Lorcana has any fancy physical attributes that are patentable, and since Disney owns the rights to the characters, it's a non-starter. They basically are probably going to look for money. That's what I think they're going to do. They're probably going to settle and get a bunch of money from Disney or something. The employee in question was contracted, which throws another wrench into the equation unless they can prove that he was paid for his efforts on this specific game.
Well, that actually they probably could prove, though.
Yeah. And it's not just a Disney-themed game. The courts are unlikely to allow it to move forward. If he was developing it after hours, for instance, they did not have ownership.
But I don't think that's the way it sounds.
Yeah, well, they said that Linda said they paid for him to develop a game called Rush of Icor, which he worked on for at least a year before backing out of his contract. Upper Deck asserts Lorcana is basically Rush of Icor.
Yeah, well, the thing is, the person's not completely wrong about game rules and stuff, but it's absolute bad look and it's absolute bullshit. If this person turned out that they were working on it, did take everything from that and went over to this other project for Disney stuff, it really is crap.
So here's a link to the full complaint. They have it here. They said they aren't suing based on the game system itself. They're suing based on breach of contract, which is smart. They have a very good argument of this person was making a game for us, breached their contract on many levels, and took our trade secrets to another company.
That I agree with, if that's the case.
Yeah. So that is true. Yeah, Disney would never pilfer any intellectual property.
Well, I can tell you for a fact that Disney will, if you, first of all, I try to make you sign papers saying that you agree that anything that they see or look at, that something similar could show up later from Disney. And you have to agree that you will not sue them, because it's totally coincidental that the name that you have for your pitch happens to be the same name they changed the show that they're in production to.
A lot of the concepts and characters happen to be the same, except it's being done in live action, which is cheaper.
Yeah, and even though what they bought and what was in the trades that they bought suddenly has a new name that's very similar to your name when you pitched it, but you signed a paper saying, hey, if something mysteriously comes up that's very similar to yours, you're admitting it's an accident, because Disney would never.
They would never.
Except Disney does often.
Yes, speaking from firsthand experience.
Look at the Onward van lady. And you know what? Disney got hold of that person. Suddenly it went away. It should have cost a lot of money to go away.
I think that is what is going to happen in this case. Or
well, I don't think we're going to be. It's going to be a shit ton of money, because it's a whole game system.
Yeah,
we're talking they can make millions off this game.
Because you've got two markets. You've got trading card game people, and then you've got Disney fans.
Well, no, I mean the Upper Decks.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to cost them a shit ton of money. I mean, Disney would have to pay a lot of money for them to make it go away, because they probably have millions invested in it.
Well, or Disney could just be like, fine, we'll just buy that game system and we own that too.
Well, where are they going to get the money for it?
Yeah, Disney doesn't have a lot of money these days. People
Plus, it's not Disney. It's Ravensburger, not Disney. We're not remember that. So I mean, it's actually they're using their characters or licensing their characters. But if it's Ravensburger, it's not Disney. Ravensburger would have to buy it, not Disney.
Well, unless Disney would kick in some funds to make it go away.
Why would they?
Because they get a cut of this. They get. I don't know.
I'm just saying we have to remember though. Ultimately, Disney does take stuff sometimes. I'm sorry, Disney. Kiss my ass, you do.
Yeah.
I can tell you for a fact that you've done that. But anyway, as far as it goes, like with this case, it's a situation between Upper Deck and Ravensburger. Disney's associated because their license is a licensed game, but it's not Disney per se.
Yeah.
So Ravensburger would have to buy them out.
Yeah, and who knows? Disney might just let them fend for themselves. They might just be, oh, well, it sucks. You got yourself into a situation,
it's really stupid. You don't do that. You don't just go pilch somebody and then just don't go poach somebody and and then say, okay, give me all your ideas for what you're working on, and think that it's going to go over completely well. And Disney's associated with this, but Disney's not, the legal department for Disney's probably not going to come out and white knight for them or take over.
Yeah, they might be like, wow, golly, we didn't know any of this. Mm-hmm. You said you were going to make it.
They might have known all about it, but they're not going to.
They'll be like,
them don't know what you're talking about.
Because they have a relationship with them, obviously, for the Pirates game too. So they might just be like, oh, we don't know anything about this.
Look at the Reedy Creek thing. We don't know what you're talking about. Here's emails where you basically said put somebody else's name on it. So
you're on your own, fam.
Anyway,
let's wrap this up.
Yep.
All right, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye. Sorry, I yelled loudly.
That's okay. I got the limiter on.
Okay. So
you can tell
setting?
Yeah, you can tell.
Really? It automatically limits it when I yell?
It does. When the pitch gets too high, it does. Sometimes if you sound like all robotic, it's because it's bringing the decibels down.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Help support the channel. Go to thereef.support and get early access to podcasts, videos, and other content. That's thereef.support.